think it's pretty good.
Yeah, so let's just casually open it while he's lighting, and then I'll just do a quick intro on it, and then we'll just keep it easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do pretty much that. I actually have one of the mics, so
Okay,
if
great.
you'd like, we can start with just something straight up like, hey, welcome to the Hall of Flowers here in Ventura. We're here in mid-March. What is this? March 19th.
Yeah.
Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us. This is Nate, along with my co-host Boomer. And Boomer, tell me who we're sitting with and what we're going to talk about. And one of you guys has pretty good hands, it looks like. So catch.
It's going to be Jeff here. All right.
Thank God.
Hey, what's up, guys? Brian Boomer here. As Nate said, we're at Hall of Flowers here in Ventura County. It's a beautiful day. Thankfully, a little bit of sun and wind. It's no rain. I'm here with Jeff on my left, and I'm here with Sevan on my right. We're going to talk about some of the current market events, mainly just things that we're seeing here at Hall of Flowers, from cultivation and all the way to the flower that's being sold, or the extracts and vapes that you're seeing. Let's do this. Let's start with Sevan over here as he's passing. I appreciate that, and I'll pass this over to him. So tell us a little bit about what you're seeing in the market.
Well, straight up.
Actually, let's just introduce yourself. So
Oh, okay.
who are you?
So,
what do you
okay,
do?
okay.
Yeah, let's start there.
So my name is Sevan. I'm a cultivator. I'm a farmer. You know, that's how I started. That's how most people started. And then, gotta be honest, like, you know, you started growing something really good, and then you needed to move it. You know, then you moved from being a farmer, just being a farmer, to being a salesman,
Right.
because you're trying to move your stuff in the
right.
best way that you can. Because when you relied on other people, it's just, you know,
The representation is not the
their
same.
representation was not good. It, you know, so you needed to step into a different kind of game other
Right.
than just being a farmer, you know. And as far as the market goes right now, I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, let's all agree
Yeah,
on
yeah.
one thing.
Yeah.
It's been fucking crazy.
Yeah.
And is it PG or?
Yeah, you could
I
say
can-
whatever
yeah,
the
I
fuck
can
you
say
want.
what-
Yeah,
it's
whatever the fuck you
fucking
want. Yeah,
insane,
yeah.
It's fucking insane. It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. The prices are up and down. You're seeing like really shitty flour,
Yeah.
really shitty genetics, getting like top dollar, and you're getting really like
Yeah,
and you're getting like really good flour,
right.
getting like nothing, next to nothing. Good
So
breeders are working on.
tell me about that. We were just talking about. They're saying good grown flour is not getting top dollar, is what you're saying.
Yes. So so here's the thing. We all know about like branding and all of that, and it's kind of like when the market is down and there's not as much demand
Right.
for whatever reasons, the cost is high.
Right.
There's different state competitors. There's, you know, it's just the market is a little bit different. So like right now, you started looking at not quality.
Right.
For the most part, you're trying to look at like, okay, which brand is the most worth it for me to come down, or like, you know, to buy, or like to promote in my dispensary, or, you know, whatever.
Right.
Which the most popular brand I could go with.
Right.
And you know, not to hate on anyone, we're not
Right.
PG, but most of the brands are shit.
Yeah.
You know, most of the
Yeah.
brands are shit.
Yeah.
We're getting to a point sometimes you walk into like a normal dispensary and you buy like fucking pay high dollar, and you open the bag and it's shit inside.
Yeah.
Right.
It's old usually.
And you see people who are like fucking passionate about the plant,
Right.
that went up and down with it through the markets, stayed in it when everyone gave up and left,
Yeah.
and they're not getting kind of like their dues, because, you know, they're not good at branding, or not good at this and not good at that. So that's why I'm saying the market is kind of weird right now, because the people who are growing really good, are passionate about it, most of the time not getting what they're worth. And you know, other people are like really good at promoting the branding side of it. I have the genetics that no one have. Whatever, you know what I mean? These are the people who are like getting over in a way. And that's why a lot of the really good farmers, I'm going to call it farmers,
Yeah.
because that's essentially what it is.
Yeah.
Farmers are getting out because they're not getting paid. That's what the market is right now.
And would you say that's indoor, sun-grown, greenhouse, everybody, or just what do you see?
I'm saying like mostly I'm going to talk about the indoors, because
Okay.
that's mostly my people.
Right.
But
But that reflects a lot. Sun-grown up north, California has been really.
Yeah.
They're hurt right now.
They
They're
are-
not getting nothing for their
They are
packs.
hurt, but there's a reason why I'm saying indoor. I am saying indoor because even though I agree they are hurt in every kind of
Right.
mixed tier, whatever it is, however you're growing, everyone is hurt. but the indoor is the hurt the most right now because it's the one getting taxed the most, and also
yeah.
is the one on its last leg. Is the one that doesn't make sense to run it
Right.
anymore.
In terms of the production
like,
costs, yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like, yeah, like
It's
other
already
stuff,
out the gate expensive.
other stuff that can still like kind of last,
Yeah.
kind of run for a little bit more, but the indoors is really, really on its last leg. Everyone I met who is in the game has been saying, I'm one bad run away from closing shop.
Yeah, and let's talk about the bad runs. Actually, since we have Jeff here on my left too, I want to talk about what happens to what's a bad run. What would you guys say is a bad run, and why does that happen?
Well, I have my bad runs. Well, it depends how you're looking at it. So as a grower, a bad run is always like a run that disappoints you. That you know you can do better, you can grow it better, you can understand the genetics a little bit better, you can treat it a little bit better, the plant. You know what I mean? You can come up with a better product.
Right.
In the end, as a grower, that's a bad run. As a salesman, as a salesman, sorry, I have a problem with the mic. Keeps going up and down. Let me pass this so I'm not distracted by two things.
No.
I'm a one.
I know, I got
carry
two
one
things.
thing kind of person.
So in sales, you were saying. So as sales guy.
So yeah, as a farmer, like I said, every run that is disappointing it didn't measure up to my standards or any farmer standards. But for sales, it's whatever didn't sell, or whatever didn't sell in volume, and whatever didn't sell fast.
Right.
So there's like different metrics when it comes to sales.
Okay.
So it's like volume, average price, and how fast did I have it really on shelves, and how fast it moved. So a bad run for me for sales, it not necessarily be like as same as the bad run for me as a farmer. Because like a bad for me as a farmer can move really fast, you know, depending on the market, you know, trends and whatever is happening right now. Sometimes people are only interested on, let's say, trashy shit, you know? So sometimes like it's a bad run for you, but hey, the market wanted it.
Right.
So as a salesman, you're like, damn, that's a good time to have a bad run, you know?
No, and I see that. And so the reason why I bring it up is you brought up a good point. There's two different bad runs from a grow perspective, pass this back, and from a sales perspective, right? So I want to talk from a grow perspective since we have Jeff here from IPM Crew. So he is actually assisting with cultivations that are doing compliance spraying, say here in California, but I worry about pest and disease-free genetics, which is what I'm involved with, right? And I think about a failed grow. It doesn't matter if it comes from a nursery, but any grower could fail for multiple reasons from pest and disease. And that's what you're helping with, right, Jeff?
Correct. That is what I'm helping with. Yeah, there's a lot of issues that can arise, especially when you're not doing your own veg and your own clone and you're bringing stuff in. If you don't have a trusted source, you really got to double check and make sure your facility's nice and tight, because anything can come from anywhere. But if you know your source, like Boomer, and it's somebody you can trust, you know, then that's somebody you want to hold on to, because that's ultimately going to affect the lifeblood of your grow, is where it all starts.
So let's talk about your treatments that you guys have to do are spraying for pests and what, like powdery mildew, and what other kind of prevention are you looking at in your programs that you do?
Yeah, so basically any kind of prevention with any pests or any mold. The thing is, mold comes in normally stronger later in flower, so you want to prep early for those kind of things, and maybe lay down before the flowers start popping some residue leaving sprays that will help prevent against any spores trying to colonize your plant in any way. And with pests, as far as pests go, you just kind of want to stay on a nice regular schedule and make sure you're upkeeping with it. It's just consistency and making sure, even if you don't have an issue, you operate like you have some kind of issue always. So when something starts to grow, it gets snubbed out. You don't have to wait and see and then be like, oh, now I have to do something. You're already doing something, you know?
So I like that. So prevention is key, but so is consistency in that prevention.
100%.
And it's interesting. We had a disaster episode that we talked about, what do you do in the event of XYZ disasters? And I said most of it's prevention and having redundancy plans, because at the time of the disaster, there's no recourse. So if you had a pest infestation, is there something you can do, or are you really doomed to have a failed crop or some sort of loss?
Yeah, so if you're later in flower and you got like bugs out the ass, or I mean, even like mold out the ass, like, and you want to spray, I say go towards the area of like insecticidal soaps, things that don't affect anything once they're dried, and anything that's left over, any kind of residue, breaks down under the high intensity light. You know, it's if you have to, it's not the worst thing, and as long as you don't go crazy on the ratio in which you're mixing and how often you're spraying in between the sprays, you won't really damage anything. But you still have to remain cautious, especially in later flower.
That's interesting. So I know some people watching are not necessarily growers, but in the grow world, there's some nuances that we run into that can damage the plant at certain stages of life, and you cannot recover from that. And going to, say, the sales end of things, we look for certain color, say purple. If you were to spray it and damage it, it could turn brown, it could turn white, yellow. Can you sell that color weed?
Now it so that immediately drops the price of the bag.
Is it even sellable, or it just
It is
immediately drops the price?
It is sellable. So here's the thing about, like, our work, everything is sellable to a degree. You know what I mean? If you had something like stored for like the past 4 years in a garage somewhere and you were like, can you sell it? I might know. That's not gonna happen.
Probably not.
Yeah. But everything is sellable. It will be dropped though. The price will be dropped
Heavily.
Yeah, it will be at least
below production cost, probably.
Yeah, it will be at least right off the bags, like 2 points out. Just looking at it, seeing red hairs, burnt orange, whatever looks like has been sprayed in the later stages. Yeah, the prices is gonna at least 2 points are gonna go out. It's still gonna be sellable to some certain group of peoples, but it's just gonna drop.
Good. Go ahead.
I'll say another thing to keep in mind too, if you do have an infestation throughout your entire facility and through all cycles of flower and veg, you start treatments like all the way around, but it's the waiting game with that because you usually have to cycle out your crop. So, okay, everything's dirty. How long until everything gets out? And then you start hard in the veg, and that way, it's the first thing goes out. It's the first thing to keep clean.
No, and those are things that I think are important right now. One thing I wanted to talk to you about was the wholesale price and the market, is varying everywhere, right? And here in California, it's a little bit of an indicator what might happen in other states. Do you feel comfortable telling me a little bit about what you see in indoor market prices and the variances that you're seeing right now?
Yeah, of course. It's not a hidden secret. Everyone is like kind of like dealing with the same prices everywhere. I mean, it depends where are you in California, but I'm just going to talk about Southern California because that's mainly
primarily
that's what I deal with. So yeah, the wholesale, it depends. You can sell flower in any type of shape, and the tickets vary from there. So like wholesale flower, usually the really good ones right now, not branded, not white labeled, nothing. It's just like really good, not good grown flower indoors. For a big quantity, I think the most will go for like 900.
Yeah. I kind of see similar, like 1,000 was like the average. It kind of went a little below that on bulk buys. 800, 900 are really low tickets, and maybe the quality's not there. If it's quality, is it higher than 1,000, but maybe lower volume?
Exactly. So it depends on the volume. It's like I said, look, with sales, it's like different metrics from what a grower thinks is a good harvest or a bad harvest. For sales, it's a lot of different things, and so at that time, I mean, it's a controversial topic too, because everyone is gonna be like, okay, no, they're just Sevan saying that. You know what I mean? I can sell that for whatever, and I can sell that for whatever because my buyer needs that specifically, and my buyer needs that. So also it depends on how your network and where the flower is gonna end up be. Eventually, where's it gonna be like in a dispensary, or they're gonna be like sold to a brand? Like what direction you going with?
Yeah, if it doesn't move to that buyer ultimately, then they're not gonna want to work with you or come back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like that's why like whenever someone when you ask that question, like, am I comfortable saying the price? I'm okay saying what the prices that I'm normally saying, average, because everyone is gonna be like, no, I got this, I got that, I got that. But it's a different market. It depends on where the product is gonna end up. That's what I'm trying to say.
Quality, volume, location. I mean, I guess it's any other metric for a commodity,
Exactly.
And more so just highlighting, now it's whatever, March of 25, and, the prices are where it's at,
and
seasonally,
exactly.
It's,
the
up
prices
and down.
Drops. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I really appreciate the insight. One of the things I've been talking to everybody about is with the market that you've seen, because you have a long history in this industry too, so you've seen a lot of things. What would you say to growers and operators right now in the licensed and the traditional sector that they could do to be more successful or maybe carve a niche? Where can they go?
Honestly, I would say when the market went down, what happened is in a lot of facilities and a lot of like even personal growers and all of that is they try to do everything by themselves. You know what I mean? Because the prices went down and the cost went up and cost of living went up. So instead of having like we used to work in a place together, and it was a cultivation site. It was part of Columbia Care back in the day before they changed and stuff. So like that at that time, like at any given site used to have a staff of what, like 20 people at any given day, 30 people any given day. Yeah, it was a big crew. So like if you need stuff to be cleaned, there's a crew for that. If you need plant work to be done, there's stuff for that. There's post harvest management, there's stuff for that. There's a distro people, there's you know what I mean? So it was broken down in a way that everyone can do their
Within a
job.
lane, yeah.
And even the growers themselves, they can do their job in a way that I'm gonna deliver the best I can because I'm focusing on that. But that would be my best advice to people. Just do what you're good at and stop trying to do everything all at once. If you need help, like we're talking about the homies business, if you need help with IPM, just fucking hire someone if it's gonna cost you less. Just fucking hire someone to take care of IPM and you focus on the growing. Even if you have like, you don't want to fucking grow, you just want to invest and you have your spot and you don't want to worry about it, you want someone to run the facility, just get someone to fucking do that and just focus what you're good at. Maybe what you're good at is, genetics, cleaning, like we're talking, like,
100%.
mainly your things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Focus on what you're good at and it's only gonna get better. That's my main advice to anyone right now.
I think that aligns a lot with what I've been talking about too, is, even in the clone game or anything, I was just saying with you, is that I would rather outsource a professional that knows how to do everything right, on time, and compliant. Same thing with our genetics, is sub out the clones or the teens, and put it in. It's a line item cost, but you don't need to do all that cost. And even the same thing, using brokers or your sales channel is utilizing that. They get paid when you move the product in and get paid. There's a lot of different ways to offset that overhead cost so you can focus on your core revenue driver that you are contributing, right? One of the things going to is I want to ask Jeff too, is that, coming from a cultivator's perspective, because you guys have worked in a big facility before, but you're in LA, it's one of the most competitive markets in the country, if not the world, right? But to stay ahead and maybe be successful, maybe not financially, but more so from a successful crop standpoint and maybe cost of production. Can you talk a little bit about that and what you guys see?
Cost reduction, mainly, I feel like the cannabis industry is going the way other industries have gone, where they outsource a lot of labor, hence the IPM crew, what I do with IPM. And I'm seeing that like roaming cultivation crews that come in, they'll trim, they'll do your plant work, and they'll do all this, and they're not, your actual employees. It's just like a one flat rate fee, and they take care of rounding up the people and doing all the compliance stuff, everything. So I think maybe just thinking about it, like Sevan was saying, do what you're good at. Like if you invest, handle the money. If you grow, do the grow stuff. And if you don't want to put the time in or hire someone to do it, now there's people coming around to offer you a service where the quality is the same, if not better, and the price is always going to be cheaper than having your own people.
And I think that what you're pointing out too, the cost to produce is inherently important because, I'm not saying that your services are by any means cheap, nor are our plants, but I think what you pay for is what you get. And if you're getting a professional service or product, it's going to lead to usually better product in the end. And there's a lot of other clients that can vouch for that. But ultimately on the sales end, I mean, you would know this, the better quality product is going to sell faster for you ultimately, right?
Yeah, 100%. Well, the first thing that ever works is the bag appeal. The bag is good, smells good, nose is loud, color is there, everything checks all the boxes. It's gonna sell right away. It's only a matter of a deal, like if someone is willing to make a deal or like agree on the pricing. But yeah, the quality is most important. But like I said, in the market trends, sometimes it's sometimes quality is not needed. Sometimes people are just looking for something that is like close to good quality, but
price conscious.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But like that's what I can pay right now, and I can make it work for myself.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. That's where we started the mids market, and we flooded. The word mids came from somewhere because it was needed. It was created because it was needed. It was not just like, because like I don't want to grow. Yeah. No, it was like because I'm gonna grow in this whole area, and I'm gonna lock it up. It's not gonna be great, but it's needed because people not want to pay that much, but want to pay something closer to it.
Because the cost of production at that scale is lower, so they inherently can do more for a little bit less for the consumer.
Exactly, and the profit is more. Saying like, you know, compared to someone who's like boutique and kind of like, no, I'm only putting like 20 lights a room, and
Right.
you know, I'm spending like, I'm using different kind of nutrients and additives and whatnot, and you know, whatever soil and whatever medium they're using, they're like trying to go for quality. So their production cost is way higher
Yeah.
than anyone who's profitable and producing mids on a fucking daily basis. So sometimes it's what the market needs. Like I said, it's a two different things. You're trying to be a good farmer, good grower, good this. That's good. It has its own market, and you know, the mids will always have its own market. It started and it's here to stay, and it's the only thing that is surviving. Let's be honest, it's the only fucking thing that is surviving. Some people still trying to find the quality, but market, when market is down and cash flow is not like as it used to, so they're starting to be like, okay, let me get something close to it.
I appreciate that insight, man. It's really a good kind of see, and I appreciate the honesty, because I don't think a lot of people will be willing to talk about that. And I really appreciate you guys' time and insight. I think we're gonna go check out more Hall of the Flowers, and stay tuned for more, guys. Say goodbye, guys.
Thank you for having us, guys. Appreciate it.
Cheers, time.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thanks.
How's it going, guys? Welcome to Hall of Flowers. We're here with Walt Cabillo, Brian Boomer, and we got Nate Winokur here from Teaching Bud. And we're talking about current events here.
What's up, guys? Walt from Los Angeles, right here at Hall of Flowers. First time here, checking the scene out, seeing what the market's like, and you know, just having some fun.
So we're going to talk a little bit about the market events and some of the brands that we're seeing here with distribution and flower. Walt's into the genetics and runs a nursery here in California, and that's primarily what we're going to discuss, is how you guys are seeing the genetics shaping the industry. We obviously know that here at the retail level that the consumers get to smoke a diversity of flower, but what do you guys see on the wholesale end and the growers that you work with the most? What are they going for in terms of genetics?
In terms of genetics, it's always been candy, still prevalent. The taste of the flower, the terpenes, you know, it's the wholesale market's just, you know, very, very, just very candy, and not so much of the OGs right now.
Yeah.
I mean, a little bit coming back, but it's just the taste, you know, Skittles, just terpy weed, you know, not anything cakey or honestly, just like that's what we see on my end.
Yeah,
So
no
it's like
hazes, no sours, nothing like that either.
some sours, you
Yeah.
know, some like sour runts, and there's a lot of good breeders out there, new ones that are doing a lot of good work.
Right.
You know, breeding with the candy strains, the lemon cherry gelatos, the runts, those are still very dominant in the wholesale market.
Yeah.
And I think everyone right now is just focused on quality of flower. You know, it goes back to the quality of how flower is grown,
Right.
produced, and all of those things.
Well, tell me a little bit about that, because you come from, you know, high caliber operation with Jungle Boys prior, and then you guys have kind of taken on and ran with that technology that you've kind of worked on, and the growers that you work with are pretty high caliber as well. But the market of growers, you know, has a drastic difference of medium and lower quality to the high quality is maybe 10-20% of what's actually out there. Or what do you see in terms of the quality that's getting grown as packs that are sold wholesale?
Quality, man. So like you said, Boomer, like high caliber level of operations,
Right.
like many groups out there, scaled, and you just have to go back to quality. Like it all ends up quality, because the end user is going to get tired of just smoking kind of whatever type of product,
Mid-range,
you know,
yeah,
mid-range.
yeah,
Like I just deal with high caliber, you know, circles
Right.
and flower. So there's a lot of different lanes and groups out there that everyone has their own little pocket and niche, you know, and things like that. So that's what
I was going to say that that's probably also this weekend, as we're seeing here, it's different brands that have diversity in terms of what they're putting out there, right? Different quality strains and different quality levels. So for us, you know, we see you working a lot with the wholesale guys as well as I do in terms of what we grow in, say, Southern California. But maybe what about home growers or other growers in other states? What do you see the demand or other markets maybe seeing?
I think for the home growers, there's like the craft guys are still gonna try to source a sour diesel cut or something that we haven't seen in the mass, production
Commercial,
and commercial
Yeah.
facilities. They're the ones that are gonna source out like the hazes and the lemons and different type of like strains and
Right.
genetics that are maybe not as commercial.
Right.
So it's always been like there's the commercial guys that are just filling the streets up with just candies, OGs,
Right.
and just flavors, and then there's a group of the craft guys that are gonna always try to source out, Blue Dream, or some classics,
something that's not commercially viable,
Yeah.
maybe because
Yeah.
you can't grow 100 lights worth of it, but you could definitely grow a few lights of it, and you can put out some really good quality. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Same thing with like hash washers. I kind of think we've seen an uptick of guys wanting to do that single source. I mean, we talk Nate, you dab single source stuff a lot, or guys that focus on maybe living soil or sun grown, as you will, but they really focus on high quality flower that does get turned into extracts too. So maybe do you see genetics also being needed for that type of market as well, a little bit differently?
Differently, but definitely, like the hash market is gonna also need their own strains that finish in 6 weeks.
Yeah,
and for
sure.
like a commercial facility or like a home grow, that's a whole different scale and different topic of like producing flower that's ready in 6 weeks, or
Right.
6 to 8 weeks, and you turn it into rosin
Right.
or extract for those purposes. It's like yeah.
I kind of like the idea of the single source method because a lot of us come from the legacy days, and most of us were growing and selling our own product. And I think that represents a lot of the better quality product because you're essentially having to put it out there and have your customer give you the real world feedback. Is it good or not? If it's not, they're gonna not buy it. And similarly with the customers that you're working with, and even myself, we see guys that say, "Hey, is this actually selling in the marketplace?" And this week's research here is to see a little bit about what is selling at the retail level. What is in demand here in California as well as around the United States is shaping from the hemp market, the THCA market we've been talking to people about here, as well as obviously the licensed THC market here for cannabis. So I think it's a good little intermission.
Yeah, definitely. It's like you know,
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the timing.
it's like being a cultivator in the group. You have to pay bills. That's the reality of it. That's from the small guy to the biggest, largest group. The bills don't stop. So you have to be strategic in what you're growing,
Right.
and you have to really know your market. If you fill rooms or you start growing a strain that at the end of the harvest and post-production and everything, and you're left with it and you have to sell it at a cost to produce, it's going to affect your company
Right.
very, very drastic. So in the nursery space where we deal with,
Right.
that's very much what we're asked, every time is, what's the finished product look like? How is the finished product? And,
Is it going to
is
sell?
it going to sell?
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can have a menu of 100 strains, and sure, to different people, other people may like it. Everyone has their preference, but you have to think about like a majority. It's not always
the
what,
outlet. Yeah.
it's not always what the grower likes to smoke is what's going to sell. I love OG, right? But
Yeah. It's the
is
truth.
that going to pay the bills all the time? Not entirely. So, I mean, you have to know your market at the end of the day.
I think that's a good takeaway is know your market. We've been talking about this is there's really no point in growing if you don't have an outlet. If it's for yourself and it's personal, yeah, you know what you're looking for. But as a business model, medical or recreational, it really needs to have a home for it. And really I think that you're a great example of that. You have a lot of years in the nursery experience seeing over the years the flavor train changes and you're constantly having to chase that. It can be grown really well but still not sell. Is that right?
100%.
Even
yeah.
in LA.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so.
Absolutely. And that's the sad part,
Yeah.
that's the sad part. But we
Yeah.
all love the plant. We all love what we're doing.
Yeah.
We want to continue what we're doing. So collectively, events like this, we all have to come together and see like, okay, where's the market,
Right.
and everyone, really has to work together on either collabs or what's trending, and if you have a homie that like, hey, I'm struggling right now. I can't pay the bills. Okay, well, you know what? Try running this cut or this strain. This is where you're gonna get you to where you have to be,
Right.
you know. And that's kind of
Helps them
that's
level up a
our
little.
world, you know. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's the truth about it.
No, and I think that there's a lot of truth in that. Is that knowing the strain and the quality that's going to sell to your market, because there is different levels of there's a company here, Midzotics, we were discussing, is they target a different market for their price point, right? And most of us are thinking of a connoisseur, higher quality level product, maybe is what we're hoping to see in the market, and bring back the OGs. I'm in the same boat. The growers don't get to dictate what we want to see sold. We're at the mercy of the buyers and the market, the consumers. One of the last things I wanted to ask for a takeaway is, what would you recommend currently to the growers here and at home to maybe stay in this market and do what they enjoy and diversify?
Quality. It just make sure that you're researching, what other people are doing. Stay open to all kinds of stuff. It's not just a simple program on how to grow this plant or anything like that. You really have to maybe go back to
Fine tuning.
the way that old school growers were growing weed, and like terpene profiles and curing it, not just
Right.
like getting a rip out, harvesting, trimming it, and move it. Because
Not chasing THC.
yeah, not THC or anything like that. Just like enjoyable smoke and
Right.
flavor and the nose of the packs, and something that always checks the boxes, right? The
Right.
look, the nose, the taste, all those things. So my advice to anyone out there, and I take my own advice, is just be open to what's happening around you and never be stuck in like a narrow point of view.
Yeah. Pivot, man. Well, I appreciate the time, Walt. It's been a good time. We're going to check out more Hall of Flowers here. Keep smoking. Stay tuned, guys. Appreciate it.
Later, bro.
Appreciate that, man.
Cool.